In a stunning revelation, the Galactic Council begs forgiveness from Earth after learning the true destructive potential of the planet's oceans. Hydrus, a Vorkarian envoy, arrives in Earth's orbit with an urgent plea for aid against the tyrannical Daxamites Empire. The Obsidian spacecraft transmits a message on all frequencies, requesting an immediate meeting with Earth's leaders. Navy Admiral Andrew Adams, known for his quick thinking under pressure, is tasked with handling this first contact situation. Despite initial skepticism, the Admiral is stunned by Hydrus's irrefutable scientific evidence, proving Earth's oceans are a devastating hydro weapon. The unique chemical composition of the water, combined with abundant oceanic organic matter, can break down the molecular bonds of Daxamites' technology and physiology. Hydrus offers Earth access to centuries of advanced alien tech in exchange for help overthrowing the Daxamites. But the envoy also warns that if the Empire discovers this threat, they will undoubtedly launch a preemptive strike against Earth. Adams realizes he must guard this secret carefully, as the fate of humanity and the galaxy now rests in his hands. Joining the war could propel humanity forward, but also entangle Earth in a massive interstellar conflict. Refusing aid would likely spell eventual doom for both the galaxy and Earth itself. As the weight of this pivotal decision sinks in, Adams grapples with the immense risks and potential rewards. The balance of power has shifted, and the future of countless worlds now depends on his choice. Admiral Adams wasted no time after the shocking revelation from the Vorkarian envoy. He immediately convened an emergency meeting with Earth's top leaders in a secure underground bunker. The room buzzed with a mix of excitement, fear, and disbelief as Adams laid out the situation. "This is our chance," Adams said, his voice steady and resolute. "A chance to not only save ourselves, but to help liberate the galaxy from tyranny." Some of the leaders shook their heads, arguing for caution and isolation. "We can't risk drawing the Daxamites' attention," one said. "We should focus on defending Earth, not getting involved in some alien war." But Adams pressed on, his eyes blazing with conviction. "If we do nothing, the Daxamites will eventually discover our ocean's power. And when they do, they'll stop at nothing to conquer or destroy us. Our only hope is to strike first, alongside the Galactic Council." Hydrus, towering over the humans in his dark robes, nodded solemnly. "Admiral Adams speaks the truth. Aid us, and we will share our knowledge and technology. Together, we can break the chains of oppression." The room fell silent as the weight of the decision settled on the leaders' shoulders. Finally, after hours of heated debate, they reached a consensus. Earth would join the fight against the Daxamites, but with conditions. The Galactic Council must share their advanced tech and help defend Earth from retaliation. Hydrus readily agreed to the terms, relief evident in his alien features. "You have made a wise choice. Now, we must act swiftly. The Daxamites will soon suspect something is amiss." News of the alliance spread like wildfire across the galaxy, igniting a firestorm of reactions. Oppressed planets rejoiced, seeing Earth as a beacon of hope, but others remained wary, unsure if the untested humans were truly up to the monumental task ahead. On Earth, a hand-picked team of brilliant scientists assembled in a state-of-the-art underwater research facility. Led by the enigmatic Dr. Evelyn Chen, a pioneer in marine biology with a mysterious past, they worked tirelessly to unravel the secrets of Earth's oceans. "The key lies in the unique chemical compounds," Dr. Chen explained, her eyes glued to a holographic display of swirling molecules. "If we can harness their properties, we can create weapons capable of neutralizing Daxamites' technology." But as the scientists made groundbreaking discoveries, danger lurked in the shadows. Zorax, a cunning Daxamite spy master, had infiltrated Earth, determined to uncover the reason behind the planet's sudden alliance with the Council. Zorax's agents sabotaged key infrastructure and gathered intel on Earth's military capabilities, relaying their findings back to the Daxamites' high command. The clock was ticking, and Earth's secret wouldn't remain hidden for long. In clandestine meetings, Admiral Adams pored over star maps with his advisors and Hydrus, devising strategies to cripple the Daxamites' empire. They identified critical supply lines and strongholds, planning precise strikes to weaken their foe's power structure. But as the preparations for war escalated, Adams couldn't shake the weight of responsibility bearing down on him. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy, rested on his shoulders. He knew wielding such devastating weapons, even in the name of freedom, would come at a heavy cost. Earth stood on the precipice of a conflict that would test the mettle of all involved. The alliance with the Galactic Council had set in motion a chain of events that could reshape the very fabric of the universe. As the first prototype hydro weapons rolled off the production lines and Earth's fleet prepared for deployment, one thing was certain. The coming war would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, and Earth would be at the center of the storm. The underground laboratory hummed with activity as Dr. Evelyn Chen peered intently at the swirling vortex contained within a reinforced glass chamber. Beads of sweat formed on her brow as she adjusted the controls, increasing the pressure on the mixture of seawater and rare earth elements. Initiating hydrofusion reaction in 3, 2, 1, she announced, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. A blinding flash erupted from the chamber, followed by a shockwave that rattled the equipment. As the light faded, Dr. Chen's eyes widened in astonishment. "We've done it," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of machinery. "The energy readings are off the charts." Admiral Adams, who had been observing from a safe distance, stepped forward. "Can we weaponize it?" Dr. Chen nodded, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Yes, but the power is unprecedented. We'll need to proceed with extreme caution." As the team celebrated their breakthrough, a figure lurked in the shadows. Dr. Zachary Smith, his human disguise concealing his true identity as the Daxamite's spy Zorax, watched with growing concern. He slipped away unnoticed, determined to sabotage this new development. In the days that followed, prototype weapons began to take shape. Handheld blasters emitting concentrated bursts of high-pressure water rolled off assembly lines, while larger tsunami bombs were carefully constructed under the watchful eyes of Dr. Chen and her team. Admiral Adams paced the floor of his office, the weight of recent events evident in the lines etched on his face. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," he called out. Captain Marcus Quinn strode in, his posture rigid and eyes alert. "Sir, Hydra Squad is assembled and ready for briefing." Adams nodded, leading the way to a secure conference room. Inside, Lieutenant Natasha Volkov and Sergeant Kenji Tanaka stood at attention, their expressions a mix of perseverance and anticipation. "At ease," Adams said, activating a holographic display of a distant star system. "Your mission is to infiltrate this Daxamite's outpost and destroy their supply depots using the new hydro weapons. This could cripple a significant portion of their war machine." Quinn studied the hologram intently. "What kind of resistance can we expect?" "Heavy," Adams replied grimly. "But you'll have the element of surprise. The Daxamites have no idea what's coming." As the briefing continued, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Adams's communicator crackled to life with Dr. Chen's frantic voice. "Admiral, we've been compromised. Someone sabotaged the main hydrofusion reactor. If we don't stabilize it soon, the entire complex could be destroyed." Adams's face hardened. "Hydra Squad, change of plans. Your first mission starts now. Get to that reactor and stop whoever's behind this." The team sprung into action, racing through the corridors with weapons at the ready. As they approached the reactor room, they heard the sound of a struggle within. Quinn signaled for silence, then kicked open the door. Inside, they found Dr. Chen grappling with Dr. Smith, who was attempting to overload the reactor controls. "Stop right there," Quinn shouted, aiming his hydro blaster at Smith. The Daxamite's spy snarled, revealing his true alien features as his disguise faltered. With inhuman speed, he lunged for a nearby console. Volkov reacted instantly, firing her weapon. A jet of pressurized water struck Zorax, sending him flying across the room. The alien's skin sizzled and smoked where the water had made contact. As Tanaka rushed to secure the reactor, Quinn approached the downed spy cautiously. Zorax glared up at him, defeat and hatred burning in his eyes. "You have no idea what you're dealing with," the Daxamites hissed. "The Empire will crush your pathetic planet." Quinn's grip tightened on his weapon. "We'll see about that." With the immediate threat neutralized, Hydra Squad turned their attention to the damaged reactor. As they worked alongside Dr. Chen to stabilize the system, alarms continued to blare throughout the facility. The first battle in Earth's war against the Daxamites had been won, but it was clear that greater challenges lay ahead. As Quinn looked at his team, he knew that the true test of their skills and persistence was yet to come. The Klaxons fell silent as Hydra Squad boarded their stealth ship, a sleek vessel of Galactic Council design. Captain Marcus Quinn settled into the pilot's seat, his fingers dancing across the unfamiliar controls. "Everyone strapped in?" he asked, glancing back at Volkov and Tanaka. Lieutenant Natasha Volkov nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Course plotted for Zartok Prime. We'll arrive in approximately 6 hours." As the ship slipped silently through the vast expanse of space, Quinn briefed his team on the mission parameters. Their target, a heavily fortified Daxamites outpost serving as a critical supply hub. "Remember," Quinn said, his voice grave, "we're not here for a prolonged engagement. We get in, disrupt their supply line, and get out. Clear?" "Crystal, sir," Sergeant Kenji Tanaka replied, checking his equipment one last time. The desert world of Zartok Prime loomed before them, its twin suns casting an eerie glow across the barren landscape. Quinn expertly maneuvered the ship through a network of automated defense satellites, the vessel's advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible to Daxamite sensors. They touched down silently in a rocky outcropping 2 kilometers from the outpost. As the team disembarked, the scorching heat hit them like a physical force. "Tanaka, you're on point," Quinn ordered. "Volkov, watch our 6. They moved swiftly across the sun-baked terrain, their footsteps muffled by the shifting sands. As they crested a dune, the Daxamites' outpost came into view, a sprawling complex of angular structures and fortified walls. Quinn raised a hand, signaling a halt. "Tanaka, disable their perimeter defenses. Volkov, identify our primary targets." Tanaka unshouldered a compact device, its screen flickering to life as he input a series of commands. Moments later, the outpost's energy shields flickered and died. "Defenses neutralized, sir," Tanaka reported. Volkov's eyes narrowed as she scanned the facility through high-powered binoculars. "I count 3 main supply depots, targeting data uploaded to your HUDs." With practiced precision, the team infiltrated the outpost. They moved from shadow to shadow, their footsteps light on the metal grating. It wasn't long before they encountered their first patrol. 2 Daxamite soldiers rounded a corner, their insectoid features contorting in surprise. Before they could raise an alarm, Quinn and Volkov opened fire with their hydroblasters. Jets of pressurized water struck the Daxamites, their exoskeletons dissolving on contact. The aliens crumpled to the ground, twitching feebly. "Move!" Quinn hissed, leading the team deeper into the facility. They fought their way through increasingly heavy resistance, the element of surprise rapidly fading. Tanaka's tactical strikes disabled automated turrets and force fields, while Volkov's expertly placed charges maximized the damage to key infrastructure. As they approached the final supply depot, a piercing alarm cut through the air. Quinn's comm crackled to life, Admiral Adams's voice tight with urgency. "Hydra Squad, abort mission. We've been compromised. Zorax transmitted your mission details to the Daxamites. Get out of there now." Quinn cursed under his breath. "Fall back to the extraction point." They retreated under a hail of energy bolts, the air thick with ozone, and the screams of wounded Daxamites. As they sprinted across the open desert, the whine of approaching dropships filled the air. "Go, go, go!" Quinn shouted, practically shoving his team into the stealth ship. They lifted off just as the first Daxamite ships crested the horizon, their weapon systems charging. Quinn pushed the engines to their limit, the ship groaning under the strain as they climbed through the atmosphere. As they broke free of Zartok Prime's gravity well, Quinn's heart sank. The vast emptiness of space was filled with the menacing silhouettes of Daxamites' warships, their weapons trained on Earth's distant star. "This is Hydra Squad to Earth Command," Quinn transmitted, his voice grim. "We're en route home, but we've got company. The Daxamites are coming." Back on Earth, alarms blared throughout the Hydro Weapons Research Facility. Dr. Chen raced through the corridors, her lab coat billowing behind her. She burst into the command center, where Admiral Adams stood surrounded by a flurry of activity. "What's our status?" Chen demanded. Adams's face was ashen. Daxamite's warships have entered the solar system. We've detected dropships landing along coastal regions worldwide. They're targeting our undersea facilities. Chen's blood ran cold as realization dawned. It was Zorax. He must have transmitted data about our hydro weapons program. Before Adams could respond, a junior officer called out, "Sir, we're detecting multiple incursions at the Mariana Trench facility." Adams's mind focused. "Get Hydra Squad there now. We cannot lose that facility." As Earth's hastily assembled space forces moved to intercept the Daxamites' fleet, Quinn's team rocketed back through the atmosphere. Their ship touched down on a helipad overlooking the Pacific Ocean, the water's surface churning with unnatural activity. "Gear up for undersea combat," Quinn ordered as they disembarked. "We're going for a swim." Donning specialized diving suits, Hydra Squad plunged into the roiling waves. They descended rapidly, the pressure increasing as they approached the vast underwater complex. Through the murky depths, they could see flashes of weapons fire and the sleek forms of Daxamite's marine cyber drones darting between the facility's structures. The ocean itself seemed to vibrate with the pulsing of sonic disruptors. Quinn activated his suit's comms. "Tanaka, neutralize those drones. Volkov, find a way to disrupt their sonic weapons. I'll clear a path to the main lab." As they engaged the Daxamites' forces, the water around them became a maelstrom of bubbles and debris. Quinn's hydroblaster sent pressurized streams cutting through the alien attackers, while Tanaka's EMP burst short-circuited the cyber drones. Volkov swam gracefully through the chaos, planting adhesive charges on key structural points. With a series of muffled thumps, the sonic disruptors fell silent. Fighting their way deeper into the facility, they linked up with Dr. Chen and the remaining research staff. The scientists had barricaded themselves in the main laboratory, surrounded by prototype weapons and data drives. "We need to evacuate," Quinn shouted over the din of battle. "The Daxamites are—" His words were cut off as a massive explosion rocked the facility. Water began pouring in through newly formed cracks in the reinforced walls. "They're trying to flood us out," Chen realized, her eyes wide with fear. As Hydra Squad prepared for a desperate last stand, the ocean around them began to churn with renewed violence. But this time, it wasn't the Daxamites' doing. Admiral Adams's voice crackled over their comms, filled with grim satisfaction. "Brace yourselves, we're deploying the tsunami bomb." The tsunami surged through the underwater facility, tearing through corridors and chambers with unstoppable force. Quinn and his team braced against the onslaught, their specialized suits barely holding against the crushing pressure. As the waters receded, leaving destruction in their wake, Quinn's comm crackled to life. "Hydra Squad, report status." "Still breathing, Admiral," Quinn responded, surveying the damage. "But we've got company." Through the murky water, sleek shapes darted toward the facility. Daxamites' boarding parties, their cybernetic enhancements allowing them to move with unnatural speed and precision. "Dr. Chen, secure that data. Tanaka, cover the east entrance." Quinn barked orders as he readied his prototype hydro weapon. The gun hummed with power, its internal chambers pressurizing water to lethal levels. The first wave of Daxamite's cybernetic marines breached the facility's ruptured hull. Quinn squeezed the trigger, unleashing a concentrated stream that shredded through alien armor and circuitry. Tanaka's position erupted in a barrage of return fire, energy bolts illuminating the darkened chamber. "Quinn, we need more time." Dr. Chen's voice rang out from the lab behind him. Her team worked feverishly, transferring vital research data as the battle raged around them. A piercing shriek cut through the chaos, a Daxamite's sonic disruptor activating. Quinn spun to see a massive cybernetic warrior bearing down on Dr. Chen, its weapon powering up for a lethal blast. "Chen, down!" Volkov shouted, hurling herself into the path of the attack. The sonic wave struck her full force, sending her tumbling through the water in a cloud of blood. Quinn's vision went red. With a primal roar, he activated the hydro weapon's tsunami function. A wall of hyper-compressed water exploded outward, obliterating the Daxamite's forces in its path. The concussive force shook the entire facility, rupturing pipes and shattering reinforced viewports. As the carnage subsided, Quinn rushed to Volkov's side. Her suit was torn, revealing grievous wounds beneath. "Stay with me, Lieutenant," he urged, administering emergency first aid. Alarms blared throughout the complex. "Structural integrity compromised," an automated voice announced. "Complete system failure imminent." Quinn's comm crackled once more. Admiral Adams's voice was heavy with resignation. "Captain, we're initiating code Kraken. Get your team out of there now." "Sir, we can't," Quinn began to protest, but Adams cut him off. "That's an order, Captain. We can't let the Daxamites get their hands on our research. Evac immediately." Quinn gritted his teeth, hefting Volkov's limp form. "You heard the Admiral! Move out!" As Hydra Squad retreated, dragging Dr. Chen and her team with them, massive hydro charges detonated throughout the facility. The ocean floor shuddered, liquefying the very foundations of the base. Years of invaluable research dissolved into the crushing depths. They fought their way to the surface, bursting from the roiling waves just as their emergency transport arrived. As they climbed aboard, Quinn cast one last glance at the churning sea behind them. Beneath those dark waters, Earth's greatest defense against the Daxamites' threat had been lost. But the war was just getting started. As their transport streaked across the sky, Quinn turned his attention to the unconscious Volkov and the shell-shocked scientists. Whatever came next, Hydra Squad would face it together. Light years away, on the opulent world of Xenarath, Chancellor Vrock's eyes gleamed with triumph as reports of the Daxamites' attack flooded in. The time had come to consolidate his power and set his true plans in motion. The transport's engines whined as it streaked across the sky, carrying the battered remnants of Hydra Squad and Dr. Chen's team. Quinn's eyes never left Volkov's still form as he applied pressure to her wounds, willing her to hold on. A violent tremor shook the craft. Through the viewports, Quinn saw sleek Daxamite ships closing in fast, energy weapons charging. "We're not going to make it to the rendezvous point," the pilot shouted. "There's a civilian vessel nearby. It's our only shot." Quinn nodded grimly. "Do it." The transport banked hard, diving toward a battered freighter. As they approached, Quinn saw the ship's name emblazoned on its hull, Star Chaser. A crackling transmission filled the cockpit. "This is Captain Zyla. I see you've got company. Docking bays open, but make it quick." The transport barely cleared the bay doors before Daxamite energy bolts slammed into the Star Chaser's shields. Quinn felt the deck lurch as the freighter jumped to FTL, leaving their pursuers behind. Hours later, Quinn stood in the Star Chaser's cramped medical bay, watching the ship's medic tend to Volkov. Her vitals were weak, but stable, for now. "How is she?" Dr. Chen asked, entering the bay. Quinn's eyes sharp. "Touch and go. What's our status?" Chen's eyes darted nervously. "Captain Zyla's agreed to help, but her ship took heavy damage during our escape. We're limping along on auxiliary power." A surge of frustration threatened to overwhelm Quinn. He forced it down, focusing on the mission. "And the research data?" "Most of it was lost with the facility," Chen admitted. "But there's hope. I have coordinates for an off-world data vault. If we can reach it, we can restore our work on the hydro weapons." Quinn's eyes narrowed. "Where?" Chen hesitated. "The Grax Nebula." Quinn cursed under his breath. The Grax Nebula was a lawless region, crawling with pirates and outlaws. It was the last place they needed to go in their current state. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Quinn raced to the bridge, Chen close behind. Captain Zyla, a hard-faced woman with cybernetic augmentations, stood at the helm. "We've got company, big company." The main view screen showed a massive Daxamite warship rapidly closing the distance. Quinn recognized the distinctive hull markings, Malgore's flagship. "They must have tracked our jump," Quinn growled. Zyla's augmented eye whirred as she assessed their options. "My ship can't outrun them, not like this. But I know the Grax Nebula. I can get us there. Lose them in the ion storms." Quinn hesitated. Trusting a mercenary was risky, but they were out of options. "What's your price?" he asked. Xyla's lips curled into a predatory smile. "A share of whatever data you're after. Non-negotiable." Quinn exchanged a look with Chen. The scientist nodded reluctantly. "Deal," Quinn said. "Now get us out of here." The Star Chaser dove into the swirling chaos of the Grax Nebula, Malgore's flagship in hot pursuit. Xyla's augmented reflexes guided them through shifting ion storms and treacherous debris fields. "Hold on!" Xyla shouted as she executed a series of wild maneuvers. The ship bucked and groaned, inertial dampeners struggling to compensate. Quinn gripped the command console, watching as Malgore's ship fell further behind. Suddenly, space itself seemed to twist before them. A shimmering, microscopic tear in reality yawned open. "What the hell is that?" Quinn demanded. Xyla's augmented eye focused on the anomaly. "Some kind of wormhole. I've never seen anything like it." Before anyone could react, the Star Chaser was caught in the anomaly's gravitational pull. They hurtled through the tear, reality warping around them. When the disorientation faded, Quinn found himself staring at an impossible vista. Fragments of planets hung suspended in a violet void. Ribbons of energy danced between floating landmasses. Physics itself seemed to operate differently here. "Where are we?" Chen whispered, her scientific knees going weak at the sight. A new voice, melodic and alien, filled the bridge. "Welcome, travelers, to our realm. I am Luxana, matriarch of the Dimensioneers. We have much to discuss." Quinn's hand instinctively went to his weapon as a holographic figure materialized before them. The being was vaguely humanoid, but composed of shifting geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. As Luxana began to speak of infinite energy and incomprehensible technology, Quinn felt a deep unease settle in his gut. Whatever came next, he knew their mission, and perhaps the fate of humanity, had just become far more complicated. The Star Chaser materialized in Earth orbit, its hull scarred from the journey through the dimensional rift. Quinn stared at the blue-green orb below, his teeth gritted. In the medical bay, machines beeped a steady rhythm, monitoring Volkov's lifeless form. "Captain," Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comm, "Admiral Adams is hailing us." Quinn took a deep breath, steeling himself. "Put him through." Admiral Adams' hologram flickered to life on the bridge. His eyes widened as he took in the battered crew. "My God, what happened out there?" Quinn's voice was raw. "We lost Volkov, sir, but we secured the hydro research data." Adams nodded grimly. "Get planetside immediately. The situation has escalated beyond our worst projections." Hours later, Quinn stood in a secure briefing room deep beneath the Pentagon. Admiral Adams paced as he outlined the dire galactic landscape. "Chancellor Vrock has seized control of the Daxamites military," Adams explained, gesturing to a holographic star map. Red indicators spread like a virus across multiple systems. "They're obliterating any world with ties to hydro weapon research." Quinn's fists clenched. How did this happen so fast? "Vrock played us all," Adams growled. "While we focused on border skirmishes, he was consolidating power within a hardline faction. Now they're making their move." Alarms blared, interrupting the briefing. A junior officer burst into the room, face pale. "Sir, we're detecting multiple Daxamite signatures entering the system." Quinn sprinted to the command center, Adams close behind. Tactical displays showed a swarm of Daxamites warships emerging from hyperspace. "They're targeting our orbital defenses," an analyst shouted. Quinn watched in horror as Earth's meager fleet was systematically obliterated. But before the Daxamites could press their advantage, a new contact appeared on the sensors. A massive dreadnought dropped out of hyperspace, its hull emblazoned with Daxamites' markings. Quinn's hand instinctively went to his sidearm, but the ship's next actions left him stunned. The dreadnought opened fire on its own fleet, tearing through Daxamite ships with devastating precision. As the attackers fell into disarray, a transmission cut through the chaos. "This is Commander Tavian of the Liberated Daxamites Resistance," a gravelly voice announced. "We seek asylum and offer our aid against Vrock's tyranny." Quinn turned to Adams, whose expression mirrored his own shock. "Sir, The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Let them land, but keep them under heavy guard. I want to know exactly what game they're playing. Days later, Quinn found himself in a tense meeting with Tavian and his lieutenants. The Daxamites were a motley crew. Some bore the cybernetic enhancements of their military, while others were clearly civilians. We freed political prisoners during Vrock's coup, Tavian explained. Many of us have opposed his warmongering for years. Dr. Chen, who had insisted on attending, leaned forward. And the dreadnought? Tavian's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. A parting gift from our former masters. We thought you might find a use for it. Quinn caught Adams's eye across the room. The Admiral gave an almost imperceptible nod. Dr. Chen, Quinn said, his mind racing, how quickly can we retrofit that ship with hydro weapons? Chen's eyes lit up. With the research we recovered, give me a week in the Saturn shipyards. As Chen and her team began their work, Quinn threw himself into training with the Daxamites defectors. He pushed aside his grief for Volkov, channeling it into preparation for the battles to come. The newly christened Leviathan emerged from Saturn's rings, a hybrid of Daxamites and human technology. Its sleek hull now bristled with experimental hydro weapon emplacements. Quinn stood on the bridge, surveying his unlikely crew of humans and Daxamites. All stations, report status. As the responses came in, a priority message flashed on the main screen. Quinn's blood ran cold as he read the intel report. Vrock's fleet had regrouped. They were en route to Earth, with enough firepower to glass the entire planet. Quinn took a deep breath, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders. Helm, set course to intercept. It's time to show them what Leviathan can do. The Leviathan dropped out of hyperspace, its hydro-enhanced hull gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. Quinn's eyes narrowed as he took in the tactical display. Vrock's warfleet hung in space before them, a jam-packed array of Daxamite firepower. All stations, battle stations, Quinn ordered, his voice calm despite the tension thrumming through the bridge. Weapons, target Vrock's flagship. Let's show them what Earth can do. The Leviathan surged forward, its experimental hydro weapons powering up with a deep resonant hum. Vrock's fleet responded, energy weapons flaring to life across their hulls. Space itself seemed to warp as the two forces clashed. The Leviathan's hydro barrages tore through Daxamite shields, vaporizing hull plating and internal systems. Quinn's tactical acumen, honed through years of combat, guided the Earth-Daxamite hybrid ship through the chaos of battle. Helm, bring us about, Quinn commanded. Weapons, concentrate fire on their primary power coupling. The Leviathan executed a series of impossibly tight maneuvers, its hybrid technology allowing it to dance between enemy fire. A devastating salvo of hydro energy lanced out, striking Vrock's flagship with pinpoint precision. The massive Daxamite vessel shuddered, secondary explosions blossoming along its length. Quinn watched with grim satisfaction as systems across the enemy flagship went dark. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we're detecting multiple power failures across Vrock's fleet. They're breaking formation. Quinn nodded, allowing himself a moment of hope. But before he could press their advantage, alarms blared across the bridge. Unknown vessel approaching at high speed, the sensor officer shouted. It's Xyla's ship. Quinn's blood ran cold as he watched the mercenary's sleek craft dart between the confusion of battle. A transmission cut through the chaos, Xyla's augmented voice filled with triumph. Sorry to crash the party, boys, she purred, but I've got a chancellor to catch. Before Quinn could react, Xyla's ship latched onto Vrock's crippled flagship. He watched in disbelief as her boarding party cut their way inside. Track that ship, Quinn roared, his carefully laid plans unraveling before his eyes. We can't let her take Vrock. The Leviathan gave chase, but Xyla's smaller craft was already breaking away, Chancellor Vrock no doubt secured in its hold. Quinn's fists clenched as he realized the full scope of her betrayal. Sir, his communications officer interrupted, we're receiving orders from Earth Command. They want us to disengage and regroup. Quinn's teeth gritted. He stared at the rapidly retreating form of Xyla's ship, knowing that with Vrock in her possession, she held the key to Earth's survival. and its potential destruction. "Belay that order," Quinn growled. "Plot an intercept course. We're going after her." The Leviathan's engines flared as it accelerated in pursuit, leaving the remnants of Rock's shattered fleet behind. Quinn's eyes never left the tactical display, his mind racing through combat scenarios. As they closed the distance, Xyla's ship suddenly went dark, its energy signature vanishing from sensors. "Where is she?" Quinn demanded. His tactical officer's hands flew across his console. "Sir, I think I've got her. She's powered down and drifting behind that asteroid field." Quinn nodded grimly. "Prepare boarding parties. We're going in." Minutes later, Quinn led a team of Hydra Squad veterans through the airlock of Xyla's silent vessel. The corridors were bathed in the eerie glow of emergency lighting. As they approached the bridge, a figure materialized from the shadows. Xyla stood before them, her cybernetic eye whirring as it assessed the situation. "I should have known you'd follow me," she said, her voice tinged with respect and resignation. Quinn raised his weapon. "Where's Vrock?" Xyla's organic eye narrowed. "Safe. For now. But you don't understand what's really at stake here, Quinn." Before he could respond, the ship lurched violently. Quinn's team was thrown off balance as artificial gravity fluctuated. In that moment of confusion, Xyla struck. The mercenary captain moved with augmented speed, her cybernetic limbs a blur as she engaged Quinn in brutal close-quarters combat. They traded blows in the zero-G environment, ricocheting off bulkheads and consoles. Quinn's training took over, his body reacting on instinct. He managed to land a crushing blow to Xyla's midsection, but her augmented frame absorbed much of the impact. Xyla's cybernetic arm lashed out, catching Quinn across the face. He tasted blood as he spun through the air, desperately trying to regain his bearings. As they grappled, Quinn caught a glimpse of genuine fear in Xyla's organic eye. "You don't know what they're planning," she gasped. "The weapon, it's beyond anything we've seen." Quinn hesitated for a fraction of a second, and Xyla seized the opportunity. Her cybernetic hand closed around his throat, squeezing with inhuman strength. Spots danced at the edge of Quinn's vision as he fought for consciousness. With one last surge of desperate strength, he activated his suit's emergency thrusters. The sudden acceleration slammed both of them into a nearby bulkhead. The impact was devastating. Quinn felt ribs crack, but Xyla took the brunt of the collision. Her cybernetic implants sparked and sputtered as she slumped to the deck. Quinn struggled to his feet, his body screaming in protest. He looked down at Xyla's broken form, her breathing shallow and labored. "Tell me," he wheezed, fighting to draw air into his battered lungs. "What weapon?" Xyla's organic eye focused on him, filled with a mixture of pain and urgency. "Malgor," she gasped. "He's working with Dimensioneers, a weapon to destroy Earth's oceans." Quinn's blood ran cold as Xyla's words sank in. He knelt beside her, his earlier rage replaced by a growing dread. "Where?" he demanded. "Where are they building it?" Xyla's cybernetic systems sputtered, her life fading. With her last breath, she whispered coordinates that would change the course of the war. As Xyla's eye dimmed, Quinn stood, his mind blown from the implications of her revelation. He activated his comm, his voice hoarse but filled with purpose. "This is Quinn. Get me a secure line to Tavian and the Council. We've got a new mission." Quinn's mind raced as he processed Xyla's final words. The coordinates burned in his memory, a beacon pointing towards Earth's greatest threat. He tapped his comm, his voice rough but determined. "Bridge, set course for the following coordinates. Maximum speed." As the Leviathan surged through hyperspace, Quinn briefed Admiral Adams and Tavian on the alarming revelation. The Dimensioneers' involvement changed everything. "If Malgor can weaponize Earth's oceans, the entire planet becomes hostage," Adams said, his holographic image flickering with tension. Tavian's mandibles clicked in agitation. "We must strike swiftly before they can complete this abomination." The Leviathan dropped out of hyperspace, its sensors immediately detecting a massive Daxamites battle station looming against the starfield. Quinn barked orders, readying the ship for combat. "Weapons, target their primary reactor. Helm, evasive pattern delta." The hydro cannons roared to life, lancing out with devastating precision. The battle station's shields flared under the assault, but held firm. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "we're detecting multiple Daxamites cruisers on an intercept course." Quinn's eyes narrowed as he assessed the tactical display. "Tavian, take command of our point defense systems. Show these traitors what a true Daxamites warrior can do." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as the Leviathan engaged Malgore's fleet. Quinn coordinated the attack with ruthless efficiency, exploiting weaknesses in Daxamites' formations he'd learned during their unlikely alliance. A deafening explosion rocked the ship. "Hydro capacitors at critical levels," an engineer shouted. "We can't sustain this output." Quinn's mind raced through combat scenarios, searching for an edge. His gaze fell on a tactical overlay of the battle station's schematics. "There," he pointed, highlighting a vulnerable juncture. "That's our way in. Helm, plot a course. We're going to deliver a boarding party right to Malgore's doorstep." The Leviathan plunged through the melee, its shields straining under concentrated fire. Quinn led a strike team to the airlock, adrenaline surging as they prepared to breach. With a hiss of depressurization, Quinn and his team launched into the void. They used maneuvering thrusters to navigate the debris field, the battle station's hull looming ever larger. A crude docking port came into view, barely large enough for a single person. Quinn went first, his armor scraping against twisted metal as he forced his way inside. The corridor beyond was bathed in a pulsing red emergency lighting. Quinn's team fanned out, weapons at the ready. "Life signs detected," one of the soldiers whispered, indicating a massive chamber ahead. They crept forward, the sound of machinery growing louder. Quinn peered around a corner and felt his blood run cold. A colossal device dominated the center of the room, crackling with otherworldly energy. Malgore stood before it, his cybernetic implants interfacing directly with the machine. "Welcome, Captain," Malgore's voice boomed, amplified by the chamber. "You're just in time to witness the end of your world." Quinn raised his weapon, but hesitated as he saw the shimmering field surrounding Malgore and the device. Some kind of dimensional barrier. Malgore's laughter echoed through the chamber. "Your hydro weapons are useless here. The Dimensioneers have granted me power beyond your comprehension." The air seemed to ripple as Malgore activated the machine. A swirling vortex materialized, and through it, Quinn caught a glimpse of earth-blue oceans. "Now," Malgore growled, "watch as I unmake your world." Quinn's eyes widened as he watched the vortex shimmer, Earth's oceans visible through the dimensional tear. He lunged forward, but an invisible force slammed him back against the bulkhead. "Your hydro weapons are impressive, Captain," Malgore sneered, his cybernetic implants pulsing with otherworldly energy. "But they're child's play compared to what the Dimensioneers have granted me." The air crackled with ozone as the massive device in the center of the chamber hummed to life. Quinn's team opened fire, but their weapons' energy dissipated harmlessly against the shimmering barrier surrounding Malgore and his infernal machine. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared as the battle outside intensified. "Sir!" Quinn's comm crackled to life. "Multiple Daxamite cruisers have engaged the Leviathan. We can't hold them off much longer." Quinn gritted his teeth, desperately searching for a way to breach Malgore's defenses. As he scanned the room, his gaze fell upon a familiar face emerging from the shadows. "Dr. Chen?" he gasped, recognizing the brilliant scientist who had been presumed lost months ago. Chen's eyes met Quinn's, a mix of fear and grit etched across her face. "Captain," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "there's something you need to know." Before she could continue, the chamber doors burst open. A cadre of Daxamite warriors poured in, led by a towering figure Quinn recognized instantly, Arcturus, the Neo-Daxamite extremist. "Malgore!" Arcturus bellowed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Your petty schemes end now. The power of transcendence belongs to the Daxamite people." Malgore sneered, his attention momentarily diverted from Earth's oceans visible through the vortex. "You're too late, Arcturus. The Dimensioneers have already—" His words were cut short as Dr. Chen sprang into action. With surprising agility, she vaulted over a nearby console and slammed her palm onto a glowing panel of the dimensional device. The air itself seemed to ripple as the machine's energy signature shifted. Malgor howled in rage, but before he could react, the shimmering barrier around him flickered and died. Quinn seized the opportunity. He charged forward, tackling Malgor to the ground. As they grappled, Quinn caught sight of Dr. Chen furiously working at the machine's controls. "Whatever you're doing, Doc," Quinn grunted as he struggled with Malgor. "Do it fast." The chamber erupted into chaos. Quinn's team engaged Arcturus's Daxamite warriors in a fierce firefight. Energy weapons sizzled through the air as both sides sought cover behind alien machinery. Suddenly, Dr. Chen's voice cut through the din. "Captain Quinn, I've stabilized the portal, but I can't shut it down completely. You need to hear this." Quinn delivered a crushing blow to Malgor's cybernetic jaw, momentarily stunning the Daxamite. He scrambled to his feet and sprinted towards Chen. "Make it quick, Doc," he panted, ducking as a stray energy blast scorched the wall behind him. Chen's eyes blazed with an intensity Quinn had never seen before. "The hydrofusion reaction, Captain. It's not just a weapon. It's the key to something far greater." Quinn's brow furrowed in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "Trans-dimensional transcendence," Chen said, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Humanity, our minds, our oceans, we're attuned to the fundamental vibrations of all realities. We're the gateway to unlocking cosmic ascension." Before Quinn could process this staggering revelation, Arcturus's booming voice filled the chamber. "If humanity truly holds such power," the Daxamite leader snarled, "then they will serve us or perish." Quinn watched in horror as Arcturus raised a device, its surface crawling with pulsing, organic circuitry. "Behold," Arcturus growled, "the fruits of our labor, a hydrotoxin engineered to rewrite human neurochemistry. Your oceans will become your doom." The device in Arcturus's hand beeped ominously. Quinn's blood ran cold as he realized the implications. Somehow the Daxamites had found a way to poison Earth waters on a global scale. "Dr. Chen," Quinn said, his voice tight with urgency, "tell me you have a way to stop this." Chen's fingers flew across the dimensional device's controls. "I can try to recalibrate the portal, use it to purge the toxins, but I'll need time and access to the Leviathan systems." Quinn nodded grimly. He tapped his comm, connecting to the bridge. "This is Quinn. Prep for immediate extraction, and get ready to execute my commands the moment we're aboard." As Quinn's team laid down covering fire, he grabbed Dr. Chen's arm. "Time to go, Doc. We've got a planet to save." They sprinted for the exit, leaving behind the chaos of clashing factions and trans-dimensional energies. Quinn's mind raced as they made their escape. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, with Earth's oceans transformed from the source of their strength into a looming existential threat. The battle for transcendence had only just begun.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.